TikTok and Instagram are like democratizing education, but it stays there. You save it and like, oh, it's a great idea. You send it to some friends and then you leave it there. I want to take those people, vetted experts, put them in a place for everyone to find, but they also look like me and you, and they get what it's like to be first gen or to be a woman of color, to be a gender nonconforming person who identifies as a woman. Those nuances are so important to the advice that you give about making these choices.
That was Glenelys Jimenez, founder of Levanto Collective. And this is Making It Here, a podcast by Epicenter NYC, where we spotlight the real stories behind entrepreneurs, artists, creators, and business leaders forging their own path. Every week, we dive into the hustle, the setbacks, the small wins that make the big picture possible. And every guest will have something to teach us, because making it here isn't easy. I'm your host, Amber Castillo. When Glenelys Jimenez became a new mom in early 2020, she started thinking about all the things she'd wish she'd learned sooner. As the oldest daughter of Dominican immigrants, she'd spent years teaching herself how to navigate student loans, taxes, workplace culture, and mortgages, not just for herself, but for her family and friends too. And when the world shut down, Glenelys decided to build what she wished had existed all along, a space for people to learn and rise together. That idea became Levanto Collective, a community filling in the life skills and support systems traditional education leaves out. Through workshops on financial wellness, mental health, reproductive health, and career growth, Levanto helps members unlearn what doesn't serve them and learn what will. Today, I sit down with Glenelys to talk about building Levanto with her own savings, staying rooted in purpose, and how she's evolved her original idea from an app into a community built to help others rise. Let's jump in.
So I'm Glenelys Jimenez. I'm the founder of the Levanto Collective, the eldest daughter of immigrant parents that got frustrated with the fact that I was adulting on my own. So I decided to create a community for us to adult together.
You could take us back to 2020 when you started Levanto Collective. You were, a new mom, you were juggling work, student debt, uncertainty. Speak to us about what about that moment sparked the idea for Levanto.
So 2020 was, I think, a transformative year for a lot of people. It was like doubly transformative because I became a mom. Literally the week before the pandemic, I had my baby girl and everything was normal and then everything wasn't. So then you spend a lot of time at home. It's just me and my partner and my husband. We were just trying to raise this newborn together. And then, as a parent, you kind of just start thinking about the future, like no matter what. And it was just like, oh, this is my chance to like teach her all the things that I like couldn't teach myself, or like my parents, being that they were immigrants to this country, like they had their own experience and like I was raised really well, but I was like, there's still so much that I wish I would have known. Here's my chance, right? But I was like, but wait a minute. How is it that like, I don't even have like my life together? I still had a lot of student debt. I did have a full-time job. I was working. I had been working at the company for many years at this point. So it was steady. It was stable. I had a master's degree in international affairs. So I had like additional loans. And, pre-pandemic, I thought, oh, I'm going to go save the world. And then I realized there's a lot of things that we need to fix here. And I was like, well, maybe I can do that. But then I was just like, I got my hands full. One thing at a time, Glenn, one thing at a time.
What are some of those things you were thinking back then? I wish I would have had this kind of education.
It was kind of around the time that I was like, okay, so there's 529 plans for kids. So it's like a college savings investment thing. And I was just like, oh man, this would have been so great to know about, like for myself, or like, I didn't even know if they had them back then, but I was just like, I don't really know anything about investing. There was a lot of things of me navigating life guessing, right? Or like, personal finance, like budgeting. I had so many student loans. Like, what was I going to do about it? And then like reproductive health, like I had just had a baby. And in that instance is when I learned more things about my body than I hadn't learned. But so I was like, okay, these are things I have to figure out. Had to figure out what a 401k is. Had to figure out how to do my taxes. I was doing my mother's taxes. When my mom bought her first home, I was the one helping her fill out all the loan paperwork and the mortgage stuff and all this other stuff because I was the one who spoke English. I was la educada. You went to college. You're the smart one, right? But they don't teach you this in college.
Yeah.
So I got really good at it pretty young. And a lot of other people around me would ask me for my advice. And I definitely would always offer it. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of good at this.
Yeah. What were the signs you were good at this?
Yeah. So my family relied on me a lot for things. I was also the eldest daughter of three. So I have two younger siblings and they were in college. I was helping them out as well, like figure out the FAFSAs and like student loans and how to get apartments. And like these are all things that I figured out by myself. So it became like this like just known thing that like Glenn's got you.
And to be that like, one-stop shop, did that also come with pressure, like added responsibility where, if you were juggling all these other things, you still felt like you had to make time for that?
It's like the chicken and the egg. I don't know if it's like the pressure comes from me or if the pressure comes from the fact that from others. Because I think like being the oldest, now the expectation is set. Like I have the answers. Or if I don't have the answers, Glenn will help you figure it out. But then I was like, I have to help people figure it out. Like that that was like the additional pressure for me to be like, I want to help people. I want to solve the problem. I need to help people. And even when I was studying for international relations, my idea was to like help with other countries develop economically, specifically like women and the different labor forces and economic development and socioeconomic mobility. Like those are the things that interested me. And like improving people's lives has always been something that I felt like I needed to do because I had the gift of going to college. I had the gift of getting an education. So I felt like the best way to use that gift is to kind of pay it forward.
Yeah. And you originally thought Levanto would be an app, right?
Yep.
What made you realize it needed to be a community instead?
The thing about entrepreneurship is like you don't know what you're doing, which was very hard for me because I'm the kind of person that like had a plan and a strategy and I figure things out. Like I am the planner of all things amongst people in my lives. And I took a course on human-centered design. And in human-centered design, it's creating the solution with the population experiencing the issue as opposed to for, which I think is a lot of the way that Western thinking is like, we have the solution, this is the solution for you. But it's the designing of the systems and the programs incorporate the people because they know their issues the best. So I took an online course and we did a group project. And actually, the first prototype of Levanto was that group project that we did. And it was supposed to be an online portal, kind of like a Coursera or like that kind of thing, where it gamified your learning. So the app was just like very standalone on its own. I was like the beauty about being an entrepreneur in New York City is there's so many communities, so many events, so many places to meet people. I remember just like randomly going to a meetup for like product designers. And I spoke to a fractional CTO because I thought, maybe I would need one because I'm not a technical person and I thought I was going to be building an app. And it was like, well, it sounds like, first of all, I don't have like tons of capital to invest, right, in this moment. And they're like, well, it sounds like what you need is just like a place to hold these people. Products exist already that you don't have to build from scratch. And that way you don't have to like maintain it and have the cost of like having a technical person to maintain it. And also the fact that like when I was talking to people about what they wanted, at this point we had Zoom fatigue, right? Like everything was online. And when I was doing my customer discovery, people were like, I want in person.
And when was this? This was circa 2021?
2021 is when I took the course, did that first iteration, started raising my child, went back to work. And then when we started going more full time, that's when the wheel started spinning again. And then I had a very like conservative corporate job. It didn't allow for a lot of flexibility. And then the thing that really started sparking the idea was seeing the different Supreme Court decisions come down the pipeline. So like when they reversed Roe versus Wade in 2022, I was like, okay, so now we have to fight for our reproductive freedoms again. Okay, interesting. And then at this point, I started kind of working on it, iterating, figuring out the name, talking to people, going to these events, going to startup events, small investor events, because again, I thought I was going to build an app, realizing that I didn't need to build a product from scratch, that what I needed was a place to hold everything that I wanted to display and to learn in community.
How much of that human-centered design and adapting that to your decision, like this isn't going to be an app, this is going to be a platform for and by community, how much of all of that do you think was also informed by your own lived experience and also your study in international relations and kind of understanding some of those dynamics?
The thing about education in general, from my perspective, it's very prescriptive. You must meet these requirements to graduate. But like my baseline and your baseline, it could be completely different. So the reason I also wanted to build a community is because I wanted to build with people. And yes, we all need structure and guidance because what you don't know what you don't know. But where I am in my financial journey is different from where you are in your financial journey. So rather than saying this is what you have to learn, I wanted them to tell me what they needed and I helped them through it. Because there isn't usually that give and take in education. There's the institution and you have to fulfill these requirements. It's almost like shameful to ask for help or ask for things because you feel like, oh, I'm not smart enough or I'm not good enough. So the community aspect is like, no, we're all at the same level. I'm here to help you. You're here to help me. And yes, we have. The other thing that was very important to me is when you mentioned like social media creators, at this point, there's so many. TikTok and Instagram are like democratizing education, but it stays there. You save it and like, oh, it's a great idea. You send it to some friends and then you leave it there. I was like, I want to take those people, find those people, put them in a place for everyone to find. And I was like, I want to curate so that they're all in the same place, but also that they're like actual experts, not like just people saying that they know what they're talking about, because we have a lot of that these days. But like vetted experts, they're all in one place, but they also look like me and you. And they get what it's like to be first gen or to be a woman or to be a woman of color, to be a gender nonconforming person who identifies as a woman. Like those nuances are so important to the advice that you give about making these choices. It was that kind of was like, this needs to be a community. It needs to be us speaking to each other, us speaking to experts. Because, everyone has something to give and it's valuable, right?
And where were you finding these experts?
When I started partnering with people, it was my own network. So on top of like having the experts on these particular topics, which are financial wellness, mental health, reproductive health, and career, I have events to kind of also create community because you want to have a good time. Like the idea of like, I want people to keep coming back, not just because of what they learned and yes, but like also because they feel good in the space. So I would do one of my events that I do are mindful hours. So instead of a happy hour, it's like some kind of activity, maybe yoga, meditation, like an art project that centers on connection outside of alcohol, although there could be alcohol too. And one of the first thing I did was like, I called the yoga teacher for my daughter's daycare. I was like, hey, would you teach a yoga class for this community I'm creating? And I did that. I had a friend of a friend who works in interior design doing like racial equity work. And she's also a licensed psychologist. And we did something about boundaries. I did a cold reach out. This one worked on LinkedIn to Sonia Castellan of Castellan Tax Services. She was on LinkedIn and I reached out to her like, hey, I see you have a new business. I am interested in like teaching taxes to this community. Would you be interested in donating your time? Because right now I have like don't have the amount of revenue that it takes to hire these experts. So I'm really like betting on their understanding our mission. And I want to grow so that I can also, because I also feel like the work of women in these spaces, it's not compensated. So I want to grow to get to that point. But it was just like, hey, can you lead this workshop for me? And they were like, yeah, absolutely.
And the name Levanto, can you speak about the namesake of the business and what that phrase means to you personally and your lived experience?
So, levanto in Spanish means to rise, to get up. The idea behind this community is that we uplift each other and we rise together. I've always had this idea that I want to take people with me in wherever I go. So it was just like the only way we can get through this is with each other. So I think of Levanto of like a community of girls. We're not here for competition. We're not here for judgment. We're not here for jealousy. I'm here because I want to see everybody else succeed. And also, the thing that's also so manufactured about all of this is there's more than enough for everyone. There's more than enough money. There's more than enough jobs. It's just like in the hands of certain people, they've created this scarcity that doesn't exist. If I do well, that doesn't mean you can't do well. So that's like this particular Levanto woman is like, she's a girl's girl. She's like, she's here to help us all. And that's why Levanto is so important to me, because it's just like, we get knocked down, but we get back up. Like what I'm trying to build out of Levanto is a sanctuary. I want us to feel safe, seen, supported, less stressed, and better prepared. That is what we're achieving here. We don't have a lot of safe spaces anymore. So I wanted to create one.
Yeah, and you've built Levanto using your own savings, right?
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit to that? And like, what have you learned about money, risk, literally investing in your vision?
Having the stability of this corporate job has allowed me to build intentionally. I'm not just like building for the sake of having members or like trying to grow exponentially because I'm dependent on this revenue. I could close up shop tomorrow and it not affect me, right? But because I'm so passionate about it, I know this is worth the investment.
What platform do you use? And also, can you speak a little bit about the membership model?
I use this platform called heartbeat.chat. And essentially what it is a community building platform. It has like threads for people to communicate. I have mini courses on there. I have my expert profiles. I can have resources. It's like my one-stop shop. I can host virtual events on there, and it's like a white label thing. So I have like my own URL, and the back end is you don't really know that it's what I'm using, but the it's like community.vialevanto.com, and that's my community, and it has everything on there. That's how you sign up. That's how you join. You can DM me through there. You can DM other members.
Got it. So then you have these structures in place through that platform. And at the same time, you're doing that very human centered work of meeting folks out and about, finding and vetting experts who
Yeah.
align with the mission.
Yes. So then I'm able to have a digital aspect, which is kind of like the app. And I was like, oh, I don't have to build it from scratch. I can just use this. And then people wanted in person. So that's the first membership. It's called the Rise membership. And that's the digital only. So that anyone around the country, even around the world, could join Levanto if they wanted to. Then I have my Ascend membership. And my Ascend membership is the hybrid model where you get everything that's offered in the digital platform. As I grow, I want to have more like full coursework and things like that. Like right now, I have a financial wellness course, like a foundational financial wellness course. I have another email course. I call it the 5 Steps to Thrive. I also have a YouTube channel where I talk through how to build your life through these 5 steps, just to give people an idea of what I can offer them. And then I host these events in person. Every aspect of your life is covered when you're a member with us.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge in making Levanto, stand out and connect with the right people, like the girls or the kind of community that you want to attract?
Yeah, it's still hard. Like I am not on social media every day. It's not something I want to do. The programming, the community itself, the running of the business, that is like my thing. And also I feel like this year has been really heavy in particular. And it feels almost sometimes wrong to be like, hey, come join my community. I know the world's burning, but like, come on over.
And at the same time, you realize that we need community and we need
We
some
need
sense of
community.
joy and we need
Yes.
support.
Yeah. So it's just like this catch-22 because I'm just like, I'm just as down as everyone else about everything that's happening, particularly to our communities, particularly in this political environment. So it's just like, it's so hard to to show up. So yeah, I think that is one of the biggest challenges. And what I've also found is like meeting there's so many other Latina businesses that are kind of like in the same circle. Now that I've gone to like a lot of events, I'm meeting people through Conectados, which is I'm also a part of. So it's just like in these spaces where other Latinas exist, I'm now almost like cross-pollinating, like meeting people there, showing up to people's events, you can't build community without community, right? So it's just like here's the place where other people are gathering. Let's see how we can figure it out together.
What would you say is one key lesson you've learned that you would like to pass on to another aspiring entrepreneur?
It is the hardest thing other than bearing a child that you'll ever do. So you have to be really passionate. There's the high of like getting it started, of like, I'm doing something new, I'm learning something, like I'm creating the branding and the name and the website and blah, blah, blah. And then there's the reality of the day to day. And it gets hard because what you're essentially doing is you have to convince people you are worth their time and money. To do that over the internet when so many people also want their time and money is a challenge. I would say you have to have a very strong why. Additionally, you have to have a good idea. And just because you think you have a good idea doesn't mean that's the idea that's going to make you money. So that's a hard lesson to learn. Because like I said, I was hell-bent on building an app and then not anymore. So it's about learning how to be flexible and transition and pivot. And as long as you're focused on solving the problem, how you solve it, that will change. Because like what Uber was doing in the beginning or Airbnb was doing in the beginning is not what Airbnb and Uber are doing now, right? What Amazon was in the beginning is now what Amazon's doing now, right? They changed and adapt to like make sure they're really hitting the customer's problem. That's kind of what I would say.
And what's your dream vision for Levanto maybe a couple years from now?
Oh, yes. So the dream vision is for Levanto to have its own like South by Southwest style conference. Like I want a big venue full of panels and vendors and activations and like dinners and just like I want us to be able to take up space in this community that we create.
Finally, how can listeners get involved, whether that's joining Levanto, attending an event, or otherwise supporting your work?
You can find me on TikTok, very sparingly, but mostly Instagram and YouTube at Levanto Collective. Our website is vialevanto.com. I also have once a quarter pay as you wish membership that like if you're having economic hardship, you submit an application and you get picked to pay a pay what you wish membership. Our memberships are not expensive to begin with. It's $29 a month for the Rise membership, which is the digital only membership, and the Ascend membership, which is the hybrid membership, is $39. So it's a really great value for the information that you get because I wanted to make it really accessible.
So early days of Levanto, was that an all-nighter fueled by passion or, strict boundaries and bedtime by 10?
Oh no, I'm an all-nighter person all the time.
Next up, business challenge you'd rather face, tech troubleshooting or event logistics chaos?
I'd rather be the platform. Chaos with event logistics is annoying.
Favorite kind of workshop, financial wellness budget brunch or a deep mental health conversation?
A deep mental health conversation.
And if you had to pick one inspiration source for your workshop ideas, would you say books and podcasts or the women who show up in your DMs and your events?
It's the women that show up.
The toughest reality as a founder, promoting yourself constantly or learning to ask for help?
Promoting myself constantly. It is not in my nature.
When you need to recharge, quiet solo reflection or dinner and, laughter with your Levanto members?
It's quiet solo reflection. I'm with people all the time.
Got it. And then last question, your favorite NYC restaurant right now?
Right now is Cocina Consuelo. It's a new restaurant in Harlem. The owners are a couple, one is Mexican, one is Dominican, and they make such good food. Just chef's kiss, so good. So yeah, Cocina Consuelo in Harlem.
To learn more, visit vialevanto.com. Follow at Levanto Collective on Instagram and sign up for the Levanto check-in newsletter, which includes a free mini course called 5 Steps to Thrive, designed to help you live with intention and find joy. That's all for today. Thanks for supporting us as we do our best to support our community. We couldn't do it without you. For more stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter at epicenter-nyc.com.